You can see me now. I'm going to grind some knives. I was speaking to my friend Tom on Skype a little while ago, and here's one of the knives that I showed you, Tom. There. You can see it's after it's been heat treated. I've just cleaned the backs up there. Just cleaned up the front bit there. And I'm now going to put the final grind on. You can see that it's got a partial grind on already, which I put on before heat treat. Now I'm going to apply the final grind and the cutting edge, and I'll show you the whole process of this knife having its final bevel put on. I'll speed it up for you though, otherwise it'll take too long. Well, that's got the coarse grit grinding out of the way. Initial grind's down on a 40 grit. So that's the 40 grit finish put on. But I've not gone down to an edge yet. You can see there's still about half a mil along the edge, so it's nowhere near sharp. Time now to go down through the grits. And I'm aiming at keeping the start of the grind here at the same height as that piece of steel, which is the ricasso there. I'm also aiming to keep that level and not coming back up here. If it comes up here, I call that a smiler. Basically, if the knife grind comes up slightly up there and it has a smile to it, it's basically an overgrind or an error in my book. So it'll be all flat and then it will curve up gently. Plunge lines pretty even. Point pretty even as well, symmetrical. Obviously keeping it all cool during the grinding process. I don't want to destroy the temper of that cutting edge. And when you're working with finer grits, the tendency for more heat to build up, so you've got to be even more careful. So not too much pressure, keep it moving and keep it wet. That's the answer to that. Well, I finished the 80 grit grinding now, and got the cutting edge almost there. And now it's on to finer grits and a slower speed. There's the latest batch of 5 knives now had their bevels put on. So what I do now, I select one of those knives and just give it a bit of a test, edge retention, tip strength test, and then that should be fairly representative of that batch of knives because they've all been in exactly the same heat treat together. They've all come from the same batch of tall steel. I'm fairly sure that any one of them blades is going to be identical. So here's to a little bit of a test. that one there. Right guys, well I got the knife and I got a piece of paper to strop the knife to get it really sharp. You can see it's cutting really beautifully. I'm dragging the entire length of the blade, the cutting edge, to see if there's any flat spots or anything which might cause the paper to snag, and as you can see it's cutting really quite well. So that blade is fairly consistently sharp along its entire edge. The noise you can hear is my dog down there having a drink. It's very, very hot today. Anyway, I'm going to test one blade out of every 5. The kiln takes 5 blades, and so I test one of them. Therefore I can be sure that they're all going to be the same. They're all the same batch. They're all from the same batch of tool steel. They're all heat treated the same. So if there's any discrepancies in this knife, it'll be in all of the knives. But I'm fairly certain now, with the experience of over 145 knife builds, that this is going to be okay. I can tell by the colours from the hardening and tempering process that it's been tempered correctly. I also know by the way that I've ground it, I've kept the bevel cool with plenty of water. I've used slow speeds, I've used new belts to grind the bevels, so therefore the edge hasn't heated up and there's no danger that I've spoiled the temper of the blade. And so I'm going to test it now on a piece of wood, piece of hard African Iroko wood. I'm looking for 2 tests. One is there's a quick edge retention test, and the other is a tip strength test. If any of these things are going to fail, in my experience, they're going to fail catastrophically and quickly. You know, so there isn't really that much need for an extended test. Although I do occasionally perform extended tests. Every few batches of knives I'll take one knife and I will actually try and destroy it, whether that's the edge or actually try and bend the blade or whatever, just to be absolutely certain that things are still the same. So, and if you look on my videos, past videos, you'll see jack law strength tests and stuff like that which is going on. But I just want to be absolutely sure in my own mind now that this edge is going to hold up to the tasks for which it's designed. I'm pretty certain that if the blade does come back to me with damage, it's through neglect or abuse. Anyway, let's go ahead with this. Right, well there you see it. That's the piece of wood, block of wood. It's Iroko African hardwood. And first of all, I want to do the tip test. So basically, I'm going to just ram the knife in and just try and bend the tip. Selecting a new area every time so that I'm putting the tip under maximum pressure. Then I'll do a rotating. Right, we'll have a close up of that tip now and see if we've got any damage. Bring you in close. just line the camera up, do a zoom in on that tip. Just get it back a bit. I don't know how clearly you can see that. I think it's a bit out of focus. I'll take the camera off the tripod and take you in for a close look that way, I think. But I'm fairly happy with that tip. There you go. There's no damage to the tip whatsoever. So that's a tip test that I do. Another test on an edge retention test is sometimes what I do is to strike the blade along its entire length, edge onto a corner of the wood, thereby exposing the actual the edge, the cutting edge, to the most force that I can. And sometimes just even bashing it flatly. So I think I consider this to be abusive, to be honest with you. So if it can stand up to that, I think it's a good blade. As I even dig it in and go sideways. So I have spent literally 2 or 3 hours continually in the garden abusing the blade, the edge, to see how well they'll stand up. And they've been fine. Anyway, there's no chipping, there's no rolling on that blade. I don't know how well it'll cut paper. Just drag it over the wood to clean off any muck that might be on there. That blade is as sharp now as it was before I started the test. So I'm fairly happy that that batch of knives is as good as it gets. Just one last thing, I had a comment on my previous video, and it contained a swear word, it was pertaining to my fly press over there. In actual fact, I did examine the fly press afterwards, and the cannonball weight did actually graze the wall. And spoke to my friend John, John, and we've come to the conclusion that it needs to be more secured. There's not enough bolts in the tabletop securing it to its base. So that's something I'm going to do. That's still a work in progress over there. But anyway, I showed my errors. You've seen me warts and all there. But anyway, someone left a comment, and the comment contained a swear word. And on my channel, you know, I would rather people didn't leave comments which contain swear words or any derogatory comments, because this channel is open to everybody to view, including youngsters. And so, I mean, if it's not good enough for a child to hear or your grandmother to hear, then don't post it on my channel. If you do post a comment which contains swear words or is of negative content, then I'll immediately remove it, and if it happens again, I'll block that individual. Simple as, no questions asked. So anyway, that's the update from the Jack Law workshop. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's really hot out there. Not so bad in here though, because I've got insulation in the roof and it keeps it cool. Okay guys, that's all for now. And remember, stay sharp.